Hey, my name's Kelly, and I'm here to talk to you about the MultiGrow from Autogrow by Bluelab. This is a complete control automation system for your greenhouse or indoor grow, controlling your environment, fertigation, and irrigation. So let's dig into the MultiGrow. So we're gonna start over here. This is the actual brain of the MultiGrow. So this is the main hub that starts the MultiGrow daisy chain. That's gonna run from the main brain out to each piece of hardware, and everything daisy chains together, and it all lives on a bus network. So everything has its own address on the bus network, and that's how the controller knows which sensor is sending which information from which compartment, and then which switches we're controlling to run the equipment to maintain our set points. So this is the main hub. We have this really nice, beautiful 17-inch touchscreen. So this touchscreen makes it really easy to navigate between your readings and your settings and configurations. And most of the time we just leave it on the history screen, because that's kind of what everybody's looking for, is to just see how is everything going, make sure we don't have too many big spikes, to make sure that everything's kind of flowing like it should. So the output modules are the controls for all of the equipment that is in the facility. So all of your equipment is going to run through here. We've got A through B nutrients. We've got, our irrigation valves. We've got roof vents and shade curtains and CO2 and lights and fans, and everything is running through these output modules. The output modules are super helpful when you're on site. So they have switches, and each switch is a toggle switch that goes between on, off, and auto. Basically meaning that you can flip them into on if you just want to force whatever is connected to that switch on, into off to make sure that it cannot run, or into auto, allowing the MultiGrow to decide when to run it. So usually we want to leave all of our switches in the auto mode, just because we make sure then that when the multi says, hey, I need to run my CO2 or I need to do an irrigation, the system can. But if you were here and you were working on one of your irrigation valves because you needed to swap it out, you would walk over here and flip it into the off mode, just to make sure that you could work on this and not have it try and activate while you were working on it. The big thing though, remember to go back in and put it back into auto, because the system can't control it if it's an off or on. So the output modules, there's two types. There's a single output module and a paired output module. The single output module is used for anything that's just a simple on-off, like a peristaltic pump or an irrigation valve, CO2 injector, a fan, a light, any type of heaters that just turn on and turn off. But then we have a paired output module, and the paired output module is for any type of equipment that uses reversing motors. So roof vents, where the motor goes in two directions, where it opens and it closes. It can also be used for sidewalls, wet wall louvers, blackout curtains, shade curtains. It can be used for anything where the motor goes in two directions. And that's really important, because you need to have each direction of the motor on a different output. So you can't run them at the same time, because that can be really dangerous for the motor. So these are the outputs that all of your equipment runs through. So you have the ability to run over, flip things on and off, turn them into off mode. We have a lot of growers who put these under a lock plastic cover, so that only the grower who has the key can actually get in and make changes. Other people will put these kind of all throughout the facility, so that at each greenhouse they can turn them on. Some people keep them all in a tank house. It really is up to the grower, and with the flexibility of the Cat 6 daisy chain, you really can put these anywhere in the facility that makes the most sense for you. The controller is only as smart as the information the sensors are giving it. So if the sensors are not giving the right temperature or humidity or solar levels or CO2, the system can't make proper decisions to control your environment. So we use really heavy duty sensors here. I've got two different types. This is our EnviroSensor standard. So this does temperature, humidity, and solar, PAR, and rad. And this is our EnviroSensor Pro, which does solar, rad, and PAR, temperature, humidity, and CO2. So we have two different sensors, depending on if you care about your CO2, or if you're monitoring CO2, or if you're utilizing CO2, or if you're not. Now, both of these sensors are super heavy duty, big heavy duty plastic louvers designed to keep debris off of the sensor. They have aspirated fans inside of them so that we make sure that we're getting a really good reading. The standard sensor has one temperature and humidity wand, where the Pro sensor has dual temp and humidity wands. The reason that's important is that it's for redundancy, is that if one of the temperature and humidity wands was to fail, you could default to the other until you could swap it out. Now, this one also has the CO2 in it, so it's important that the fan is always running in here to make sure that we're getting good CO2 readings. So some growers intermix standard and Pro sensors throughout their facility. In a lot of facilities, they may put like Pro sensors where all the plants are growing, but they may put a standard sensor in corridors or dry rooms or storage rooms where they really just need to monitor the temperature and the humidity, and they don't care so much about the CO2. Then we move into our irrigation. Irrigation and fertigation are two different things in how we speak about the MultiGrow. So irrigation is moving water from one place out to the plants, right? And then maybe recapturing that water and bringing it back, depending on how you grow. Fertigation, or nutrient management, as we refer to it a lot, is actually getting nutrients in pH balance to that water before it goes to the plants. So we have a couple different things here that you're looking at. We've got two remote sensor boxes. This remote sensor box has an EC and a pH probe attached to it. So this is monitoring the EC and the pH of the water at the tank, and then we can program it to then activate these peristaltic pumps to maintain the EC and the pH in that tank before it goes out to the plants. This remote sensor box has temperature probes on it, and this is for your hydronic heating. So even though this is a remote sensor box, this is actually mostly used to manage your environment, because you're testing the temperature of the in and the outlet on your hydronic heating. So hydronic heating is running big boilers and having hot water run through pipes in your greenhouse to create a heating effect without actually having to run like propane or electric heaters. So this temperature probe, though, can also be used to run a heater for like propagation. So you can put it on a propagation mat and run a heater based off of that. These are very flexible systems. The remote sensors can also be used to monitor root zone. So if we want to look at the root zone, for example, we can take a look at the root zone moisture. So if we're using cocoa or rock wool or soil, we have different sensors that'll monitor the temperature of the media, the EC of the media, as well as the water volume content of the media. So those are all attached to here. And then we have the ability to monitor runoff. The water management system here is monitoring EC and pH, but we also recommend that you get a second sensor, and of course the Bluelab Guardian is the best fit. The Bluelab Guardian monitors temperature, conductivity, and pH, and this can sit right next to our remote sensor box here so that you can quickly glance up, see what the EC, temperature, and pH is. So we want to make sure that if this EC probe and this EC probe are reading very differently, we immediately want to clean them, calibrate them, and get them back to reading equally so that we can tell if there's something wrong with either one, we can swap it out right away. Feeding from this part of the water control system, we have peristaltic pumps. Now, peristaltic pumps are our preferred method of dosing nutrients into water. The reason that we like to do this is because peristaltic pumps are so accurate at maintaining your exact recipe that we want to make sure that we're getting your recipe mixed into a tank, that we're balancing out the EC and the pH before we send it through these irrigation valves. Now, the peristaltic pumps come in a bunch of different sizes. We do everywhere from a 120 mil pump, which is good, to about 500 gallon reservoir. These are 1.4 liter pumps. These guys are looking at doing like the 5,000 gallon tanks, and they pump fast. Once we've pumped all of our A, B, C, D nutrients, our pH adjuster into the reservoir, we've tested it, we've made sure that it's balanced. Now we can send it out through irrigation valves to all different zones. So this system can run up to 320 irrigation valves, meaning that you have a lot of different zone control. Because you may have one greenhouse where you've got, let's say tomatoes, cucumbers, and peppers. And even though they can all use kind of the same recipe because they're in a very early veg stage, they may have different irrigation requirements. So they want a little bit more water, some may want a little bit, less water. So we can control each valve individually, sending recipes off to the different zones, making sure that the plants are getting what they need.